Why not do two? Why not, indeed? So I'm going to do two videos on this. Use a different colored marker. I'm wearing a different shirt. This one, of course, was made for me by my wife. And it does look rather teenagerish because that's kind of the way things work. Video game fabric from the 80s, and she's like, "You want a shirt? Sure, I'll have a shirt." And I've got some other shirts she's made me that I'm saving for when I do crazy videos on the Hockey Guy channel, so that'll be interesting. But for today on the Entertainment Guy channel, 10 shows that were love at first sight for me. So shows that right from the beginning, probably till the end, if they're currently not on the air, that I loved right through the whole way through. And ones that I may have discovered. I'm just going through this list today. Discovered all of them on my own. Yes. Yes, these are all shows that I discovered on my own, and I didn't need anybody to say, "Hey, go watch this." So Rick and Morty gets an honorable mention, but it was recommended to me by a friend of mine at work, so it doesn't qualify for me. And Married with Children gets an honorable mention because it's not quite on the same level as these 10 shows here. Number 10, and this is tricky because, of course, I'm measuring how much I loved a show. It's not just, did I love it right away? It's how much did I enjoy the show. Number 10 for me, Freaks and Geeks. The show only lasted a year. It's available on Netflix. It's an amazing show. And it is a star-studded cast. And it was very well written. And sadly, it didn't last more than a year. And I still, to this day, this is an example of why you don't just abandon a show. If it's different and if it's interesting, give it a second season. Give it another chance to find that audience. And I promise you, Freaks and Geeks definitely would have. Very good show, very interesting. May have been the title that put some people off. Who's the Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23 is another one that the title probably put people off. It was a horrible title for what was actually a pretty cute little show. But you make it that title, you just forget it. Might as well call it American Flag Stompers. You're not going to have people watch it. Because there's a swear word right in the title. Now on HBO maybe, but just American Flag Stompers might get some views. Not going to lie. Not happy views, but people might watch it. Number 9. This is where it gets tricky. Okay, I'll go with this one. Apologies for the H there. South Park. South Park at its beginning was a revelation. We had never seen anything like this on television before. And some of the jokes for me were too offensive to be funny. Some of the jokes for me were very, very funny. I don't know why Kick the Baby was the funniest thing I had ever seen at the time, but I genuinely thought Kyle's Kick the Baby was hilarious. And I thought Ike was hilarious, and then when it's revealed that Ike's Canadian and Canadians' heads bob up and down, sold. Absolutely, completely sold. And Parker and Stone are two of the funniest, most offensive guys around. It is still a funny show. I can still sit and watch it and enjoy it. I don't watch it very often. I know I've missed this season, but I'll be able to watch it on demand. It's going to be everywhere. And it is still a funny show. There are times where it goes over that line, and I'm like, man, that's just offensive. But not in the Family Guy way, where you're going, does Seth MacFarlane really want off TV? Because he feels like he sort of does. I don't get that feeling with South Park. Sometimes I get the feeling they're saying, hey, if they want to censor something, here you go, censor this. But in general, it's a very, very funny show. Number 8. Yeah, I'll go with this one. I'm not writing out the whole series because the whole title because it's insane. Whose Line Is It Anyway? Which is known as Whose Line by a lot of people anyways. When I was in high school, I liked doing improv. Improv in acting was some of the most fun I had in high school. You could have a very, very frustrating day, walk into acting class, and it's improv today, and you're like, oh, yes! All of that frustration, all of my anger with how things are going in that class, I can just come in here and just let loose and say and do whatever I want within reason. And, I really enjoyed improv. My biggest problem with watching improv shows fresh out of high school, and that's live or on TV, was I would see them doing something. I'd be like, man, I would have taken that joke in another direction, or I really would have done something different there. And watching live troops, I had a really hard time not jumping up and freeze, and I'll jump in. You can't do that, though. They don't like it. But yeah, Whose Line Is It Anyway is really genuinely funny. And Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, two of the naturally funniest people I've ever seen on TV. That's the nice thing with improv. If you're funny on TV, but you can't make up the jokes on the fly, that's where it'll show. Improv will expose people who aren't actually funny. And improv sometimes shows people who are actually really, really funny that you didn't expect to hear jokes from. You didn't expect them to be funny, and yet here you are. Number 6. So we'll go ahead and cross that out. Number 6, or 7, sorry. Number 7 is Futurama. Futurama is one of the funniest shows I ever saw. It has tremendous moments. Now, for people who are on the East Coast going, what's that in the background? Yeah, they're mowing the lawn out front because we don't have snow here. It's nice and warm out, and the grass is still going crazy, so they got to mow the lawn again. So for people going through snow, that's what it's like on the West Coast. Futurama, genuinely one of the funniest shows I ever watched, and it was pretty much right off the hop. The first episode was very funny. I've watched the first episode a lot because that's kind of what happens when a show becomes a big hit. It goes into syndication, and then you end up seeing that first episode a bunch of times. Zoidberg is one of the funniest characters in the history of television. Zoidberg is absolutely phenomenal. And pretty much every character on the show is really funny. And it's really, really unusual to see that. And it shows that, again, sometimes the cartoons are more capable of maintaining their funny than the live-action ones. Because you can take more chances and go further with it. I've noticed, too, that censors don't pay as much attention to cartoons as they do live-action. There's always stuff being done in cartoons that if it was done in live-action, there's no way that's getting on television. Even Simpsons, there's stuff I see that I'm like, man, if that was a live-action show and they did that crap, they're getting pulled off the air. But yeah, so for me, Futurama gets in there at number 7. Number 6, yeah, I'll put this in at number 6 because it's not something that was unexpected by me. It would be higher, but I had expected this show to be very funny. Ash vs. Evil Dead. I've talked about it on this channel a lot. I don't need to go through the whys or hows, but yes, Ash vs. Evil Dead to me gets 6th spot. Number 5. Yeah, that's it. That's it. If you want to hear me talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead, there's videos on this channel of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Number 5. This is a show that's just started. I've talked to you guys about it before. I've seen the season finale now of Kidding, and it is fantastic. This is the best acting that I think Jim Carrey's ever done. And this is probably one of the most unpredictable series that I've ever watched. Tara Lipinski, if you think you know what's going to happen to her when you're watching it, wrong. Right up until it happens, wrong. And then when it happens, you're like, holy crap. And good on Tara Lipinski for having a good sense of humor. For the showrunners to say, hey, do you mind if we portray you as a spoiled, you know what? And she went, yeah, that's fine. Well, we were really going to make people not like you as a character, and that's fine. We're going to use your real name. Don't worry about it. Tara Lipinski, props from me. Fantastic job by her. So that's number 5. Kidding is number 5. Number 4... yeah, I'll go with this at number 4. Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, when it debuted on Netflix, I was very excited about it because of this. Kristen Ritter's a fantastic actress. She's been a fantastic actress for a long time. She always gets best friend roles or the cranky girl roles. That's all she's ever really played that I've seen. And I've always thought, she doesn't have the hourglass figure of some of these other actresses she's playing sidekick to. But it's not like she's unattractive, and she's a tremendous actress. She's very expressive. She's funny. She's cranky. You could buy her as being kind of a badass. So Jessica Jones, what is she? She's sexy. She's got a foul mouth on her, and she kind of kicks ass. So there's everything in Jessica Jones that I love, and I've almost got Yvonne caught up with where I was in the show, and then I get to continue it. And that's the wonderful thing about Netflix. You can watch it whenever you want. So I am saving episodes of Jessica Jones from season 2, knowing there's a season 3 coming, so that when the day comes that I'm just going to marathon this, it's going to be epic. Jessica Jones is an amazing show. And yet, Luke Cage, I never really had a big interest in. So I'm glad Jessica Jones wasn't canceled. I understand Luke Cage was, but, this is one of those things that ends up happening that some shows outlast others, and whether it's fair or it's not, that's just kind of the way it works. Number 3, and I've been saving this one. Mystery Science Theater 3000. I remember discovering this late at night because there was no other way to watch it. It was like 2 a.m, and I think we came in halfway through a movie, and I've always liked riffing on bad movies. I always watch B movies, and you can talk through them, you can make fun of them, and say whatever you want, because it doesn't really matter. And Mystery Science Theater 3000 is all about it. That's what the show's about, is taking bad movies and making fun of them. And it is amazing. It is hilarious. And to this day, it is one of the best shows I've ever watched. And right from the very beginning, I'm like, I love this. I love that they riff the entire movie. There's some editing. They take out nudity. They take out swearing. They take certain things out. Every now and then you'll see a bot react to something like, what? Because they're acknowledging we edited this for television. But they don't do it to a degree that it really cuts out the guts of the movie. And they still review whole movies. Some of their shorts are absolutely bonkers. They're so funny. The two-parter about the guy learning how to sell a car. Learn how to... It is just... Especially when he's out with his grandfather on the porch, and the grandfather's got the cloth over his head. Oh, man. Some of their shorts are absolutely amazing. And that's the kind of thing I used to make fun of myself when I was a kid. I'd be watching something on TV, and I start making fun of it. Sometimes I get a swat in the back of the head from my mother, like, stop. I'm like, this is stupid. This is dumb. It's from the 50s. I don't care if it's from the 50s. It's stupid. So I love the show for making fun of that and nothing being off limits. Number 2 on the list. Now, technically, this was on the television. I didn't put it on the television. Every other show you see on this list, I put it on TV. That was me. I put it on TV. Fawlty Towers, my parents were watching this. And as a young kid, I thought this was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And to this day, those 12 episodes, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Those 12 episodes might be some of the most perfect television ever written. Now, I had considered putting Monty Python on here, but Monty Python did not suck me in immediately. Monty Python I thought was okay. As a little kid, I remember finding the part at the end with just the misadventures at the end being interesting. I thought about putting Benny Hill up here, but again, if I'm going to go with a British comedy, I'm going to go with Fawlty Towers. Fawlty Towers was absolutely amazing. Love Fawlty Towers. And to this day, I can still watch Fawlty Towers, and there is nothing funnier than Fawlty Towers and the Germans. It is so fantastically funny, and that's my favorite. Now the one with the psychiatrist is pretty funny too. Since coming from Barcelona, my 3 mothers and 5 uncles, or however it is, once Manuel's completely blotto. Just some of it is fantastic. And the funny thing is that by today's standard, I don't know how much of this would actually get on TV. I don't know with Fawlty Towers how much of it would get on TV now. And how much of it a censor would look at and go, that's not very culturally appropriate. You can't do that. There are some really obvious scenes. Almost anything with the major would get edited out of TV now. But people talked like that, and that's just how people felt. It doesn't mean that a show is... And this is something that I've tried to explain to people when I hear things about, like, oh, Archie Bunker was so offensive. Look, just because a character says certain things on a show doesn't mean that the show writer agrees with what's being said by that character. If you look at the way that it's portrayed, Archie Bunker's not the hero of the show. He's not. It's Meathead, it's Edith, and it's not him. But because he would say offensive things and he was the main character, there's no way he'd get on the air now. There's no way. And people wouldn't see that Archie at his heart was a good person. They would just see these horrible things he said and go, forgettable. Don't put that on TV. Fawlty Towers has some of that too. And the Major's the biggest example of that, where he would say things and you could hear the audience going, oh, like you could hear that he'd said something like, oh, he just said that. But that's the way that, especially when you're dealing with old guys, that's how they talk. And I think TV's lost something in sanitizing everybody's language. I'm not saying that you should just have a bunch of really crappy characters on TV that spew horrible vitriol. I'm saying that making everybody just the same, and there's just little quirks as differences, is part of the reason why comedy isn't what it used to be. Because you don't have real personality conflicts when everybody's kind of sort of the same. There's sort of little differences. Oh, he's a womanizer. That's his big thing. Good for him. There's a womanizer on every show. Number 1 on the list, and this is another one that took some chances. Absolutely. This is another example of how if you have a 5-year plan with a science fiction show, you can make it work. Orphan freaking Black. Tatiana Maslany is, I think, one of the greatest actresses, period. And nobody can change my mind on that, because on Orphan Black, every character, every clone she played was a completely different character. They're all her. It's all Tatiana Maslany. Every single clone was different. So that gets number 1. So there you go. Top 10 shows that I loved right at first sight. And that's it probably for this channel for today. Unless I get some other idea later on. But for today, that's probably it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And now I can turn the light back up, because I'm not worried about that going all fudgy. So there you go. And I said fudgy. I don't care what the lines along the bottom say. Anyways, as I know, sometimes the captions, they can really not be correct. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just happened upon this video, and I will talk to you again soon.